Hello everyone and welcome to the Mainush channel. Wine is made from the fermentation of natural fruit juices, and the process of making wine from different fruits varies. In this video, we will learn how to make orange wine at home completely naturally. The goal of this video series is to enable you all to make various drinks at home with minimal cost and simple equipment that is accessible to everyone. So, let's start making orange wine together. Ingredients and equipment. The quantities used in this video are suitable for producing 8 liters of wine with a final alcohol content between 12% and 14%. You can adjust the amounts and ratios to your liking. 5 to 6 kilograms of sweet and juicy oranges. Just choose sweet, juicy, and fragrant oranges. 4 to 5 liters of water depending on how much juice you extract from the oranges. Some citric acid or lemon juice. Sugar to adjust the sugar content and achieve the desired alcohol level, which can vary depending on the natural sugar content of the juice. Approximately 2 to 3 kilograms. Yeast. We have a separate video on yeast in the channel that you can refer to, but you can also use regular baking yeast. Some of the equipment introduced in this video is optional, but having it will increase the accuracy of the process. If you don't have them, you can continue with the values provided in this instruction and adjust the ratios accordingly. A fermentation container for which a 20-liter bucket is suitable. The bucket should have a lid that prevents air from entering and allows for the installation of an airlock. Airlock to control the fermentation process and allow the gas produced during fermentation to escape. pH meter or litmus paper to measure the acidity of the fermentation liquid and adjust the acidic environment for fermentation, optional. A hydrometer to measure the initial sugar content, adjust the sugar level, estimate the final alcohol content, and control the completion of fermentation. Although optional, if you don't have one, you'll need to make approximate adjustments using the values provided in this instruction. Refractometer to measure the initial sugar content and estimate the final alcohol content, completely optional. A mesh bag that we will need to use for the pomace in the fermentation container. Dark-colored glass bottles suitable for packaging wine, along with corks or suitable caps for the bottles. An 8-liter glass container with a suitable lid to prevent air from entering, with the ability to install an airlock, which will be used for secondary fermentation and wine aging. Step 1. Preparing the ingredients, sterilizing equipment, and preparing ingredients. Before starting, we need to sterilize all the equipment we'll be using. We can do this using food-grade metabisulfite powder. You can use approximately 10 to 20 grams per liter of water for this purpose. Soak all the equipment in it for 10 minutes and then rinse it. Alternatively, you can use any other safe disinfectant. However, remember to use food-grade materials and follow the recommended usage. Initially, wash the oranges thoroughly because we will be using the skin in the fermentation process. After that, depending on the tool you'll be using to crush or juice the oranges, cut them into pieces. Ensure that you remove any stains, damage, or rot. After this step, crush or juice and separate the juice from the pomace. Place the pomace in a mesh bag and tie it securely so that it can be used in the fermentation process. As you can see, from 6 kilograms of oranges, we get approximately 3 liters of pure juice, and we'll need to add 5 liters of water to reach a volume of 8 liters. If you prefer, you can use 2 liters of packaged orange juice and 3 liters of water. In this recipe, we'll only use water. Using water is not for adding volume or being cost-effective. It's because we need to add sugar to adjust the final alcohol percentage to the standard or desired level. So we need to slightly lower the density and concentration of the liquid to make it easier for the yeast to work, and also because the orange juice itself has a certain concentration and needs to be diluted. At this stage, we need to perform a sugar test. We can do this using a hydrometer or a refractometer. If you don't have either of these tools, you'll need to adjust the sugar content approximately using the ratios provided in this video. The first step is to determine the desired final alcohol percentage. The usual alcohol percentage for wines varies between 11 to 14%, depending on the type of wine and the winemaker. For this recipe, our target is 14% alcohol, which corresponds to a reading of 1.108 on the hydrometer and 28 on the refractometer. To better understand and convert these numbers, refer to this table that provides simple and approximate formulas for calculations. 1 Brix equals 10 grams of sugar per liter equals 0.5% alcohol in the final fermentation. Approximate Brix number equals the hydrometer reading minus 1 divided by 0.00388. Note that sugar substance refers to pure sugar content, not sugar or honey, which contain impurities. So, approximately 10 grams of sugar substance equals 12 to 15 grams of sugar or honey. Therefore, 28 degrees Brix is equivalent to 280 grams of sugar substance per liter and approximately 14% alcohol in the final fermentation. Now, let's perform the sugar test on the orange juice. The refractometer reading is 12.5 degrees Brix, meaning there are 125 grams of sugar substance per liter. However, we need 280 grams of sugar substance per liter to achieve the desired alcohol percentage. So, 280 minus 125 equals 155 grams of sugar substance per liter need to be added to the orange juice. Based on the approximate ratio of sugar substance to sugar that we explained earlier, this is equivalent to approximately 200 grams of sugar per liter, about 1.3 times. For 3 liters, this amounts to approximately 600 grams. On the other hand, to reach a volume of 8 liters, we plan to add 5 liters of water, which has a sugar content of 0. Therefore, we will need 365 grams of sugar, 280 grams of sugar substance per liter of water, totaling 1,825 grams for 5 liters. So, the total sugar required for both water and apple juice is 1,825 plus 600 equals 2,425 grams. As I mentioned, if you don't have a measuring device, you should use these figures as a baseline and adjust the quantities according to the volume you have. In this table, I've summarized the sugar and alcohol ratios along with the hydrometer and refractometer readings for the minimum and maximum values for your reference. Step 2. Primary fermentation. First, boil the sugar and the water to be added to the wine for about 10 to 15 minutes, dissolving it completely, and then let the liquid cool to around 20 degrees Celsius. After cooling, pour the sugar water solution into the fermentation container. Add the natural juice and stir well to mix. If you have sugar measuring equipment, you can perform another sugar test at this stage to confirm your calculations. Next, it's time to adjust the pH. For alcoholic fermentation, an acidic environment is very suitable, and we can generally consider a pH between 4 and 6 for any type of drink. However, the precise pH for wines is between 3.4 to 3.8. To adjust the pH, you can use a digital pH meter or litmus paper and add a small amount of citric acid or lemon juice. Unfortunately, I can't provide an exact ratio for how much a citric acid changes the pH by how many degrees. So for this volume, add a small amount, such as 5 to 10 grams, and measure again until you reach the desired pH. If you don't have a measuring device, you can either skip this step or add 1 lemon to the water to make it slightly acidic. At this stage, our work is almost done. If you don't have wine yeast suitable for wine, you can use regular baking yeast. To ensure your yeast is suitable, please watch the video on yeast in our channel. We need about 10 to 15 grams of yeast for this task. If you're confident in the yeast's health, sprinkle it on the surface of the liquid or first dissolve it in a small amount of warm water, around 25 degrees Celsius. Let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes and then pour it into the fermentation container after it becomes frothy. Stir the liquid gently, add the skins from the mesh bag to the fermentation container, submerge the pomace under the liquid, stir, and prepare it for fermentation. Close the fermentation container lid, install the airlock, and place it in an environment with a temperature around 15 to 20 degrees Celsius for the yeast to start working. If you've done everything correctly, fermentation should start within a few hours, and you'll see air escaping from the airlock. Primary fermentation takes around 7 to 10 days. During this time, open the fermentation container lid once a day. Very quickly, press the pomace under the liquid and close the lid again. Be quick to minimize the wine's contact with air. After at least 1 week, when the air escaping from the airlock slows down to once every 30 to 60 seconds, you can proceed to the secondary fermentation stage. Step 3. Secondary fermentation. It's essential to remember that the fermentation and maturation process is lengthy, taking several months. The wine is considered ready when it's clear and transparent. Therefore, the speed of the process during clarification is crucial, and the wine shouldn't be in contact with air for too long. So, we remove the apple pomace bag. For secondary fermentation, using glass containers is the best choice. It doesn't matter how many containers you use. What's important is that they are completely sealed, preventing air from entering and allowing for the installation of an airlock. Prepare the sterilized containers and gently transfer the wine to the glass containers using a hose or siphon. The reason for using a hose is to prevent the wine from being agitated and coming into excessive contact with oxygen. Fill the container to the maximum level, leaving about 1 to 2 centimeters at the top for air. Secure the lid and install the airlock. Store the wine in a dark environment or wrap the container with a black bag or cloth to prevent light from reaching it. Keep it at a temperature around 15 to 20 degrees Celsius for 1 month to complete the secondary fermentation. During this period, you might observe a slight release of air from the airlock, although it may not be significant. As I mentioned earlier, the wine maturation process is relatively long. Although the wine is drinkable after a month, when the secondary fermentation is complete, it won't have a clear and transparent color or the final, very pleasant taste. So, it's better to be patient and let the wine mature properly before enjoying its excellent taste. Step 4. Bottling and aging. After a month and the completion of secondary fermentation, we have two options. We can either bottle the wine and store it in bottles for aging, or we can choose to age it properly. To bottle, use a siphon or hose to transfer the wine to a carboy, leaving behind the sediment at the bottom. Then fill the bottles, leaving a small space at the top for the gases that are still being produced. Finally, seal the bottles completely to prevent air from entering. Remember, over time, your wine will become clearer and more refined, but sediment will also accumulate at the bottom of the bottles. So, when serving, don't shake the bottles too much and be mindful of the sediment. If you decide not to rush and make a real wine for yourself, use a siphon or hose to transfer the wine to another glass container, leaving behind the sediment. Seal the container completely, but you won't need an airlock this time. Just keep it sealed and away from air. Remember to fill the container to the maximum level to prevent air from being trapped above the wine. Again, store the containers in a dark place at a temperature around 15 degrees Celsius for the next 2 months. Repeat this process every 2 months for 6 to 8 months, and then you can bottle your clear and delicious wine and enjoy it. Finally, after the wine has aged and matured, you can confidently enjoy the result of your efforts and savor your delicious homemade wine. Cheers to your health. I hope this video has helped you to easily make your favorite drink at home. And once again, I remind you that consuming alcohol in any amount is harmful to your health. Subscribing and liking our channel not only supports us, but also gives you access to a wide range of educational videos on making alcoholic beverages at home, including various types of wine, vodka, whiskey, beer, and brandy, as well as their preparation methods, which are constantly being uploaded to the channel. See you in the next tutorial. Goodbye.